I mentioned it was an unmentionable idea, except, of course, folks like yourself had been calling to defund the police. We had interviewed you about your book a couple of years ago, but now we see, the New Republic, the New York Times say out loud something that we have really not heard being said before, which is that the police receive far too much money and this is the time to defund them. Previously, we have only heard calls to reform the police. Is this a very critical moment in this idea and in the conversation around defunding the police?
I think it is. I think in part because for 6 years since what happened in Ferguson, the death of Mike Brown, the killing of Eric Garner, what we've heard from politicians, political leaders, and a huge swath of academic experts on policing is, don't worry, we're going to give them some training, we're going to have some police community encounter sessions, and everything's going to be fine. And nothing has changed. And we're finally, I think, ready as a movement to get beyond this idea that body cameras or even jailing 1 or 2 killer cops is going to fix the problems of policing. We need to ask this bigger question about why are we using the police for everything?
So let's talk about how much money the police do get at a time when the nation is reeling from a pandemic, when there hasn't been enough money to give our healthcare workers proper protective equipment or to test, enough Americans around the country to do contact tracing, to do, anything beyond giving individuals a $1,200 check. States are desperate for funds. Public school districts are facing closure. The police appear pretty comfortable financially.
Yes, here in New York, the police budget is over $6 billion. And in the current financial crisis, they were told to cut like $23 million. But the education department was told to cut $650 million from their budget. It's an outrage. That's why last week, the Policing and Social Justice Project I coordinate called for $1 billion reduction in the NYPD budget phased in over 4 or 5 years. And similar demands are being made in Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Dallas, Milwaukee. Across the country, people are realizing too much money is being spent on policing.
The police also have access to military equipment. Since the 1990s, they have been receiving, military tanks and the kinds of things that soldiers use.